Have made it to Stu and the Nunn, an online radio show that looks to inform, educate, and hopefully make you laugh. Stu and the Nunn is a show focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on our show chat room, via our Facebook page, and on Twitter. Like to thank those who make this show possible and allow us to bring it to you. Our show sponsors are Modi Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, Enlisted 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. That's right, everyone. Welcome to another episode. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here on another episode of Stu and the Nunn. You hear that live studio audience?
Yeah, no, like I made comments earlier about like the Jimmy Kimmel monologues, and apparently he felt the need to add a little applause.
I was funny. We keep cranking up our Bush League every to add something more to it, and I thought we do have a live studio audience. They all happen to be online. We can't hear them, but I know if we had them all in a room, they would be clapping like that, especially my mom, who's always the first one tuned in, and along with Rob, the unpaid producer, Doug, John Capel, so many other folks that every week. Everyone, welcome. Episode 204 here on May 21. Toby, how you doing, buddy, down there in the southern studio?
Well, we are living large. And want to give a big shout out to our number one sponsor, 1.5 sponsor, Kermode Outdoors, which is fully launched and live and doing good things. And then a big shout out to Colton Smith, who I see is tuning in, of Enlisted 9 Fight Company. Colton, it's always good to have the support of E9 Fight Company. I'm glad to see the gym up in Virginia getting open, and they're getting their rolls in, as well as their efforts in NASCAR were on television over the past weekend. So big hollers.
Yeah. And
then while that was going on, I was on a VO trip, Veteran Outdoors, taking just a super deserving SF soldier that just from overseas on a little hog slaying in Central Texas, and unfortunately, it rained a lot. But if it ain't raining, we ain't slaying.
That too.
So that's what's up. But super excited about tonight's show because we have something that's a very important topic, crucial topic, and this is my serious face. We don't talk about this enough. It is something that impacts the world in different ways, and I think the epicenter of the impact of this and the cultural implications of this can't be felt more than Central Texas, and that's the state of good.
Some folks in Memphis may want to argue with that. I'm just saying.
No, like they can, and great drill sergeant once said to me, I want to say his name was Sergeant First Class. He said, opinions are like assholes. One has one, but you can have an opinion about barbecue, but Texas has barbecue. And we have not only just a great Texas barbecuer coming on the show tonight, we have the finest of Americans, an infantryman, an Army infantryman. And I don't know if the people tuning in can see the featured picture. We chose that picture because there's this long carabine, polished carabine with a hammer cocked, surrounded by the blue of the sky, which everyone knows why the sky is blue.
Because God loves the infantry.
That long carabine is the expert infantryman's badge. That's the real man badge. It's not the Christmas wreath that everyone got because they were somewhere. Like, that's the man badge. And our boy Jason is rocking that on the picture. And I got to tell you, the shirt that he's rocking might be one of the coolest shirts I've seen in at least 3 weeks. And it might be one of the best shirts I've seen that I haven't designed. So shout out and bring him on. Let's do this. Let's talk meat.
Hey, Jason, how you doing? Welcome.
Hey, great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. And everybody can see you. See that shirt, that Texas Air, sporting it there. And it does make Texas smell good. I know when I'm in that big blue dot of Austin, the big blue dot of Texas, and I'm down there, when you go by a place here or there, you smell good BBQ. I won't personally stand in line for 5 hours for barbecue. I may let someone else do it, but there are a couple famous places down there. But glad to have you on and hear your story and kind of hear how you've injected yourself into that scene.
Yeah, no, and anyone from Memphis that wants to argue that they have better barbecue, they haven't had real.
There we go.
True.
I'm just glad no one's bringing up St. Louis because they aren't even in the ball. They in their ribs and just beat it on down the highway, right? That's. I'm just glad that's not getting brought into the picture. So anyone on our chat wants to bring up St. Louis doing barbecue, just you can go watch The View or something. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, get your barbecue opinion from The View. Hey.
From Joey Behar and Whoopi Goldberg. Anyways, Jason, thank you very much for grassoff.com. Glad to have you on. As Toby said, you are an infantryman. You have sported that blue cord and those discs, and like you said, and we saw in the picture, even put that coveted expert infantryman's badge on. And so we'd like to hear about that. Give us, our listeners and viewers, a little bit about your background, kind of what you did in the military, and then we're going to get into a number of other things, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so back in 2012, I ended up, really in 2010, I enlisted into the Army as a Bravo, walked into my recruiting station and found the first dude sitting down, said, "Hey, I want to go in. I want to be that's where all the cool stuff goes down." And the recruiter kind of looked at me. His name is Jason as well. And an awkward look in the face. There's a lot of other jobs inside the Army other than the. I said, "Yeah, but I want to go in. Go do the Army Rangers, all the cool stuff that they make movies after." And he was like, "All right, okay." And lo and behold, a while later, his work was a rare one to where he was actually making glasses for soldiers, which kind of made sense. And went in, ended up going shipping off in 2012, going through basic training. And then at the end of basic training, standing there as Drill Sergeant Rutherford called everyone out, I ended up getting the call of me going to the Old Guard. Drill Sergeant Rutherford kind of looked at me and looked at the paper and said, "Murph, why the fuck did you sign up for the Old Guard?" And at that time, I had said, Rutherford, I don't know what the old guard is. And that's because whenever they did the briefing at 30th AG, they told everyone, if you're 6 foot or taller, go in this room. If you're under 6 foot, go to the other room.
Yeah, I knew it was a 6 foot.
I'm 5'9".
Got him.
Really?
Yeah.
Got him.
So, and that's the first instance I found out with the military that you can be volunteered or voluntold for a volunteer-only unit.
Mm-hmm.
So, ended up going to the old guard, spending 3.5 years there, and then ended up destroying my ankle towards the later that time and getting medically discharged after having a surgery go wrong over at Fort Meade. So, ended up in Central Texas.
What did you do when you were 3rd Infantry Regiment?
So, telecom platoon. There until they once I had a bum ankle and operations for 1st Battalion. But really, it sucked at my point because I wanted nothing to do with being at the old guard because that's the can be boring. So I decided might as well be a PT stud and see how many schools that they'd send me to. So I got really into fitness and doing as best as I could and going to every single school that they would allow me to go to. And I couldn't do the specialty units. I couldn't do anything down at the tomb. I couldn't do the Continental Color Guard. I couldn't do the ceremony or anything like that because, again, I'm 5'9". All the requirements are 5'10" or taller.
Dirty.
So if you look at any funerals from the 2012 to 2015 time frame, I'm the very last guy at the end of the line.
Oh, okay.
Because they go in height. They got to have that, right?
I attended a couple, and I'm trying to think during that time frame. Man, one of my guys, he was a team leader for me. Then he became a squad leader. His name was Cody Reeves. And he was one of the NCOSCs down there during that time. I'm trying to. He was Caisson platoon for a bit, and then something else. Yeah, no, like that. I got to tell you, the funeral situation. One, I was unprepared to find out how many happened. Let me put that out. Two. If you've ever been to one and you realize like how hard it is, like it doesn't matter if you know the guy or gal or not. You at the funeral, Wellington, you go through an emotional roller coaster. Whether you know the person or not, put the information in to the equation that you do know the person, and it's exponentially worse. I can't imagine doing that 11 to 15 times a day, 5 days a week. Like how y'all did that. I know. Thank you, because that's a lot more than people can handle. But that's just keeping it real.
And it takes a while, you know. You first get there and you go through so many repetitions and training. You got to go through a month's worth of training just before you even get sent to your. When you go through all this, none of it really makes any sense until you go out and you do your first funeral, and then it takes 2-3 funerals to really like soak everything, realize what is actually happening, because there's so much stuff going on. There's so much places that you go to whenever you're standing there perfectly still for 30 minutes in the middle of a funeral, and it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's one thing to do this funeral because depending on, I was always on a first team, so we would typically do 4 funerals a day for 5 days a week. A lot of those people have already been deceased for a certain amount of time, or they've been buried somewhere else, like getting about to get buried in Arlington. So there's not always a ton of emotion like a active duty death with those kind of funerals, but whenever we do have those active duty deaths, or whenever we did have the time we did bury our own and someone that we knew, that's whenever you really come to realization and you get out of the rut that you get in doing funeral after funeral, and it really wakes you up and slaps you in the face and make you realize, one, not only how great this country is, but two, why we do everything that we do.
Now, I got to ask, it's having never the old guard folks I know that out there, but several times during my time in 1st Cat Division at Fort Hood, we would get tasked red duty, red battalion, or whatever the heck they called it back then. Where we got tasked, we were the 11 Charlies. I was a mortar guy. We always got funeral detailed. I don't know why, but they always gave up when we got tasked out, and we would do that for 3 weeks, and we would cover the entire state. Like I'd have a funeral in Lubbock, and 2 days later we would have to be in San Antonio, and we'd be nonstop rotating drivers and doing that. So, kind of got a taste of that. Obviously, every one of those was it was fresh, it was family. They were usually older vets, and so but in the family, and they'd always made it weird when they would try to invite us to the reception afterwards and stuff. We didn't, they felt compelled to and wanted to come up. Just like, well, I'm just here doing my duty, and I got to go to the next one, and I don't person. But I say that for the aspect of that, I can understand a little bit of that, but I'm curious, in the military, I always tell people the Army's great at training soldiers to desensitize ourselves from taking another human life, because it goes against our DNA, right? They train us, especially as infantrymen, to be able to go out into a field and not look at someone as a father or a son or even a daughter or whatever. They are a moving target indicator, right? They are a target and that's it. And we deal with that, and they're really good at training us to remove the human factor. Do you, when going through that in the old guard, did you find that same level of desensitization after a while? Were you able to just compartmentalize that until you hit those ones that were maybe someone you knew or something like that? Not that you didn't have respect, but were you able to park it aside almost like we do on the battlefield?
Yeah, that was one of the things that you learn pretty quick off the get-go. And it all changes depending on that, especially in a full honor funeral, because you have firing, which is a good ways away from the family. You have escort, which is also a good ways away from the family. You have the casket team, which is directly next to the family, and then you typically have the officer or listed NCO handing off the flag. So there's different levels of connections that you get throughout the funeral aspect on how close you are to the family, and then the emotions that's brought by the family. Being an escort, we're able to desensitize pretty quick because we're not that close, and normally we can only hear what the priest is saying, typically, depending on the denomination of the funeral. Right off the you're going through your training for the old guard, one of the first things you pass is it's 45 minutes or an hour-long standing proficiency, and it's literally standing at the position of attention and then switching in between parade rest every 5 to 10 minutes, standing perfectly still, not having any facial reactions to anything. And that comes into play a lot because you see a lot of stuff out there in Arlington National Cemetery that you would not expect at a funeral. It'd be outfits that people wear, actions that people do, your buddy right in front of you in formation, passing out in the middle of the summer. There's a lot of crazy people, guys peeing themselves in the middle of a funeral because we're there for so long. No offense to the Army band. I've told the story before on another pod, but we were actually standing in front of a closed chapel, and while the family goes inside, we typically stay on site directly in front of it while we wait for business inside of Old Post Chapel. And being the infantry, we always lead the way. Stand, relaxed position, but we stay very professional. And we look over to the band, and the band sets down their tuba. The guy takes off his hat, pulls a sandwich out of his hat, and starts eating.
Did somebody tighten that up?
That's one of those things where you don't really know who's...
He was probably a master sergeant.
That's the thing with the Army band. The lowest rank is an E6. So the majority of all of us in our escort element, the highest rank is typically an E6 or an E7. But then you have master sergeant or sergeant first class leading the entire thing. So it's like, say something, not say something.
Wow.
Yeah, that's. Let's talk about something good. Let's talk about barbecue. All right. So, you're down in Belton, Texas, which is a great place. Barbecue in that area. You got Blue Cord. You got Mueller's. You got Miller's. You got all kinds of great barbecue down there. Now you do something that's pretty cool because Cool Your Ass does the seasonings. Yep. And so let's walk through that because I think it's funny how you guys name the seasoning because that brings a little joy to some people's lives. So let's talk about that and let's talk about how you transition barbecue and then the development of your seasoning packages and stuff.
That pretty much the idea and the thought process and the seasonings were for a business. It was whenever I was stationed in D.C. A lot of the East Coast and up north they don't know what flavor is. So they don't have a ton of stuff like seasonings that we do down here in Texas or just a variety of spice up there. So the whole entire time I was stationed in D.C., I'd have family and friends seasonings up to me in D.C. And doing I started getting into fitness competitions and learning what made different foods taste good and why, what ingredients were with it. I never planned on doing anything with any of this knowledge I was building by just eating food with anything because me and my good buddy Miller, as we were planning, we both got medically discharged a couple months apart, and we both planned, all right, we're going to move around a college in Waco, PSTC. All right, we're going to get our fixed wing aviation license, and then we're going to get our rotor wing because your fixed wing transfers over to rotor wing, and we can use your GI Bill for this. We'll go fly, oil field companies, be rotor wing, make a ton of money, and as pilots say, be fat, dumb, and happy. Mm-hmm. That was the goal. So got out, went back at the end of summer of 2015. Ended up moving to Waco, starting school, and very quickly into school learning that flying a school bus in the air is boring. Lost passion for it really quick and knew that if I did go down that career path and finished it, it was something that I would not enjoy. And I've done that before whenever I was in the Army. I did do that again. And at this time, after I got and finished up getting my pilot's license, I started my license and met people in the seasoning world, not expecting them to be in the seasoning world. And that led me into opening up a couple doors that I didn't know were there and decided to take a step at it. So came up with some proprietary spices, ideas, sent them out to guys I was in the Army with, passed things back and forth with friends, kind of narrowed down the first 4 spices that I thought would be really good. And then we had the steak seasoning, the chicken seasoning, the pork seasoning, and the Cajun seasoning. So then the ideas for all the names came from calling each other typically in between classes. And then I would call a couple of the NCOs that I had a lot of respect for from whenever I was in the old guard and getting their opinions. And the original plan was to be able to name all of the seasonings after different rifles inside the military. So at that time, we had the seasoning, which is it has the largest granulates of inside of it. So the first thought to my head was, well, what's large? A 50 cal. And I was like, we'll call it Madu steak seasoning. I was like, this is awesome. And then it's, well, what do we put for the label? And it's the name Grill Your Ass Off. My dad came up, and the whole entire way we can the logo is I had a couple of drinks one night and paid a dude $15 in Venezuela to draw me a donkey on a grill.
People
ended up with their company logo.
People have paid someone in Venezuela $15 for a lot worse. That's all.
That exchange. got jacked on the exchange rate.
Oh, I know. $5 is supposed to be $5, yet nothing is $5.
Funny.
So go down that path, and with the name being Grill Your Ass Off, and coming up with the Ma Deuce idea, I didn't want it to be just like a hardcore, I'm a badass, Army guy, or any brand military except for the Coast Guard. It's just, I didn't want it to be that vision. I wanted it to be a huge. I want people to not only be able to come together and enjoy food together, because food is a great way to bring people together, no matter what your race, your background, anything. A good brisket or food is going to bring everyone together. All the bullshit's going to stop, and you're going to enjoy people. So that's one of the benefits of it. But two, I wanted to be able to give back to the first responder community. And by doing that and having all of the labels, kind of fit that world and have nomenclature from that world, and I wanted it. So whenever we came up with the idea of the Ma Deuce seasoning, the first thing that hit me was the meme that everyone uses of Rambo on the cow, and they always Photoshop the cow. So I'd sent that to artist, and I said, hey, I want this, but I want a cow shooting it, and I want to keep the red bandana. So if you go back and if you look at our Ma Deuce label, the cow actually has a red bandana, Rambo's red bandana, in that clip. And I was just that if you look at our chicken seasoning, Willie Pete, I'm sure y'all have seen, there's a old World War poster of a soldier throwing a grenade in like a field, it almost looks like. Mm-hmm. And I sent that to him. I said, turn it into a chicken. And he turned it into a chicken. If you put them side by side, it's the same exact chicken.
Love it.
And then it kept on rolling on with ideas. Came to pork. What's great about pork? Infidel. So, and then it came to, why don't we put a little nomenclature to help explain, have it direct tie in to maybe here for someone who was in the service under the name. So like with our Cajun seasoning, it says front towards enemy, and then with our Ma Deuce steak seasoning, it says everyone, and then it says when she everybody listens, because when I up, everybody hears that, nothing else. You have all chicken seasoning, and get back into like Vietnam style. Whenever we used to use Willie Pete or white phosphorus as bombs, and they would say light them up and watch them burn. So I do everything with that, and then with the pork seasoning, Infidel pork rub, I couldn't find anything that came up with it for like a funny term that kind of bridged the gap with going down any like political thing too much, or like religion. And then one of my really good friends, Joseph Abraham, told me, he said, why don't you just a term American greatness, because that's what it is. And I was like, that's a great idea, and popped it on there, and we for our first 4 seasonings.
How are they received?
So to start off with, we did a small demo at a local hardware store for us, and went amazing. The actual execution, sorry, my monitor's just turned. We did a little cooking demo and sold almost every single bottle that.
Nice.
The problem was, just like with any business, everything went wrong up until the last minute before that demo. I went direct to a packaging company because I knew that they were faster, efficient, and safer than I. So I partnered with the company. There's miscommunication. So before I received my first package, all the seasonings, every single seasoning was in the size. All of the labels that I had ordered were so big that they wrapped over and covered up the barcode and the nutrition label. So single label we could use. So that Friday night, we ended up going to Office Depot and buying Avery shipping labels and a printer, because at the time I could afford a printer, so I didn't have one at my apartment. So I put it and all of it at home and printed labels all night long and hand applied labels to every single bottle. Then comes out the next day and crush it. And as soon as I saw the potential in that, I pulled everything down, traced everything, went through everything to make sure that I did everything business-wise, like everything was, and came back towards the end of 2016 and built what I thought at the time was an amazing website. Put hours and hours and hours in, dropped college, college at University of Phoenix online because I was running out of money, so I needed the GI Bill to help me pay my bills. And thought that things were going to blow up, be the greatest thing ever, and launch it in October, end of October, and we sold, I think, 2 bottles of seasonings the first 2 months online. So it was super rough start. At that point right there, I figured, what do I need to do for this? So I started going after the wholesale route, selling to other brick-and-mortar stores. And time really kind of working, happy with it. I wasn't getting the customers that I wanted it to, so that actually I ended up doing a ton of work on social media that December and starting off with like 10 followers on Grill Your Ass Off's Instagram in December of 2018, and made a couple, slid into a couple people's DMs. The beginning of 2017, it's a very good nightmare since then.
And so, like, what a lot of people don't understand. I'm an entrepreneur. Troy, has dabbled in businesses. What people don't, like, you have this vision in your head. You have this thing. You're like, the good idea fairy has blessed you, right? It's like, gee, and you're like, here we go. And like, I'm gonna be flying in a G6. It's gonna be rain. Like, Shandong, here we go. And you put a lot of time and effort into it, and you birth, like you nurture this baby, feed it, you do all the things that you think you're supposed to do, and then you give birth to it, and like it's ugly, and then you're like, okay, all right, so I know the idea is sound, and I have the passion. How do I recock and get this the way it's supposed to be? Because accomplish.
Yep.
Like, you don't quit. Like, people of character, the definition of people of character, or a person of character, is someone that knows how to get back up, and they get it back up better. And like that, like, okay, like I'm selling 2 bottles and like that's right.
Oh yeah.
Like, especially like when you used a card, you figured out how to use template, which funny story, I had to do something went wrong with the business launch I'm doing right now, and guess what I did to figure out and change some Avery templates right here.
There you go.
I feel you. And so you're under stress, you figure that stuff out, and you're like, okay, sales aren't the way I want to be, they're not good. Why is that? I'm going to individual, go bulk, and then like that little thing you just said, you slid in to someone's DMs. Like, here's the thing, like all the kids they're like, oh, it's sliding into the DMs. No, like, if you believe in your product, what it might be its evangelist. You have to sell it. And you can't let the internet be the gatekeeper to your goals. Like, the gatekeepers aren't the goalkeepers. And you slide into the DMs and like get you past those gatekeepers. All of a sudden, here we go. Like, and talking to Stu and the Nunn. You know what I mean? Like,
here we are.
ass off is doing right. You know, you started doing a little kiosk, you know, one time set up at a local hardware store. You're like, how's it going? They're going book because you didn't lose. And going to DC, Texas, and you're like, I'm gonna be in aviators because I was inverted, and you know, like the and throw themselves at me because I can just say in every, but I'm a pilot, and you know what? Like that's not gonna bring me joy. And you know, like you knew what would, and he went out, dude. Like that's awesome, man. I like that's an entrepreneur, and that, ladies and gentlemen that are listening, is American great. That is the difference between us and every other country out there. Is because like here you can just be like, you know what? I'm not going to be a pilot or a doctor like, you know, my mom or whoever wants me to be, or an engineer or whatever. I'm going to like make the baddest flavorings. Every other country out there is because like here you can, and we live in a society that we can do that. And, you know, like brisket is me, you know, for anyone, you know, like getting snippety about ribs. But unless you're the beef it's available on Saturdays. I'm just saying Taylor. But the no, that's the American.
Yeah, and I want
to.
That's right. That's it. That's the grunt's dream right there. It's, you know, especially when they dangle that thing in front of you. What am I going to do with that? Well, just found a reason. Talk about that, right? You got 60,000 followers on IG. You've got your YouTube channel has about 1,400 followers on that. It looks like you're not just saying, hey, use this spice. You're up there kind of doing cooking shows, right? You're showing, you know, you're kind of doing videos and stuff like that and showing cooking. Have you found yourself moving more into, you know, showing recipes and cooking and just showing different ways to use your spices? And if you have found that too with sales and market?
Yeah, it's a ton. So in retail, parents always had a retail business, and with that, I learned quick a lot of things that I didn't want to do in my life, like build fences, be a roofer, be an electrician, or dabble in retail. So a lot of that, I never had the desire to do that drive me. So as Grill Your Ass Off started to grow, and I started to see the need for marketing material, because I don't care what anyone says. Normally, the number one excuse is with anything, whether it's a personal brand or a business, is I don't have content, I don't have media, I don't know what to post. Well, guess what? Especially if you're watching this, you have one of these. It's called a phone. It's got a camera on it. That camera works, if not better than these cameras.
Truth.
Sadly, because it's like a whole bunch of money.
Started immediately. I feel you, bro.
So, and so many people are scared of what another person's going to say if they post that or if they do that. And I had at first, and then I started to realize, like, who cares? I'm out here doing it. Like, everything in life I've learned from every wall, back up, know what not to do now. The only thing to do is go back until you hit the wall, go back down, and then you're just going to go up higher. So I started to really invest in myself and create media, and then listen to customers and learn what my customers wanted, and try and build off of wanted recipes, videos, quick and easy posts. They wanted streams, stuff. So a lot of it's listening to the customer and making sure you have that good customer service, and being out there to interact and direct with your. It's something super cool. You don't have someone, you know, the CEO at Target or something like that jumping in and stuff. So being able to direct doing this podcast right now is, I mean, you don't get options to do that.
Go ahead, Toby.
No, like you don't. And so one of the reasons I'm giggling is because you talked about your camera versus about just doing it, the social media and stuff. Like, you have to have an eye for things, and so like people need to grillyourself.com because like it's like awesome, right? Like your little cover picture in the beginning, showing, and the
like
play
yeah,
like it's a fine specimen.
Thank you.
But no, like the play on the Bush shirt, with steak and whiskey American way, like smoked meat, meth, all that stuff is good. And when you look at how you do it, that creates, and like do that with your phone. You can do that, like you just got to do it. But like some of your stuff is awesome. Like your Instagram is pretty good, and that's why you have a good following. Like one of the interests, that we're involved in here. We have it's kind of under our a little bit. It's brisket country. It's, I don't want to use the word media, but this promotion of like barbecue joints all around the country, and it's like the reason that exists is because like the guys doing it, they're great at making smoked meat. They're not good at making like funny stuff. This is awesome. Like, when we were kids, you could have started a company, grill your ass off.
No,
like,
so
you shouldn't. You don't want to say that. That's a little rude. It's a little abrupt. Now you're like, look at my sausage.
So to start off with, and this shows you like how crazy things are. Whenever Dad first, I was at my parents' house actually eating dinner, and he was walking inside. He was like, "What about ass off?" I was like, "What? Gonna buy grill your ass off and sell it inside there?" And he was like, kind of stopped. That's valid, but I'm sure you can find some. I was like, And I honestly went for like a week or so. So I had drinks and hopped on Fiverr one night.
Here we go.
Because at all this, I never thought like a day I never bought seasonings off of a website. And that was my mentality. And at the current time, I wasn't thinking as a consumer. I was thinking as J. And I had to go out and actually think outside of that.
So how is like this recent for you? Like, have you seen cooking sales? Like, everyone's at home having to cook all the time?
I will say quarantine for a lot of people that's had a hard time with that. I definitely we've had our hard time. Thankfully, quarantine has actually been amazing for your ass off.
Good.
Stuck at home, they're wanting to cook, and they're looking for an outlet. I can be that outlet of humor, or that outlet of bringing people together, or people together and staying 6 feet apart. Like, I want to be able to help out with that. Especially as we all know, as veterans, we have our dark moments, and especially if you're alone, you can go down those dark moments. If I can get my, because I actually just changed it today, but for the longest time on our website, an actual quarantine collection product, humorous stuff based on quarantine, like a GAO 19 donkey with a still grilling. COVID ain't stopping us from grilling. We had our quarantining T-shirt, our "Don't Snack on Me," and we had a picture of a bat. Just a lot of stuff, and with this company, I've really learned to realize that there's people out there that smile and have a good time. So able to help with that, I'm all about it. And being able to have successful times like this during quarantine allows me to be around and be able to do stuff to be able to give our community.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing. You're not taking advantage of this going on right now, but in fact, like see, providing a service. I mean, if people don't want to grill, they're not going to cook out. Not, if people believe the current sky is falling and that all the disappear because they think cattle are just slaughtering animals for no reason and there's going to be no more meat in the store, then maybe they won't. But at least you give them something. They're sitting at home, they can experiment, right? Hey, let me get some of that and try this and try that. And I think that's with the recipes you have up there. Now you have the merch, you got that, and you don't just have meat. You've got guacamole, salsa kind of stuff. I mean, you're really branching out a little bit into the other. It's not just meat seasonings for grilling, right? You guys are getting products and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It started off with just the 4 seasonings, and we branched off. We added in gunpowder, which is still was our best until here recently. We added the gunpowder. We made a partnership with Omar Avila, 11B, and did a crispy habanero. Added in our pop smoke top fajita season. And with that one, I had to change it up and not just do like another traditional spice. We and figured out what ingredients would help and tenderize meat while you let it bake while doing fajitas. And we found some pretty cool ingredients and added that in, and there's a citrus style taste to our taco and fajitas. Yeah. We got done with that, and then we started doing ranch dips. And we have a spicy dip and a regular dip to where it's a powder inside of the sour cream or plain Greek yogurt if you're looking to cut some calories. And you got a dip in a vegetable dip, or actually what I found to be really good on is you put it on a hamburger bun instead of mayonnaise. And awesome. We went on, found a really good partner and started doing a beef jerky line. Jerky was something near and dear close to me. I would always jerky. Jerky, you can't do much better than that. Hot barbecue. We've been able to partner with guys like Strike Force Energy to where we're sending out tons of overseas to be able to get Gillespie's. And that was the big point of doing the beef jerky line is, yes, cool, I could send it overseas, but you're able to seasoning, but get beef jerky overseas is going to smile. Yeah. And that brought into the sauce, adding in here. We expanded to where we offer 5-pound bags for all of our seasonings for the real lovers. And then for April Fools, we actually sent a fake email with a fake product that I've been wanting to do for the past 2 years, which is cannibal spice, because I thought that would be hilarious. April Fools never, ever to receive death threats from my customers that were so pissed off. Not a real product. That email the morning of April Fool, and the first thing I get is a phone call from James, who runs our customer service and social media. What the hell did you just do? My phone will not stop going off, and it was like message for like the next 3 days. So the day after April, I did everything. We created the artwork, submitted all of it for proofing, got everything in production. I had already had, and then that's when we came out with our cannibal spice. I believe it was April 20th. And put it out, and that's a brand new all-purpose seasoning.
Love it.
Nice. I like that. And it came out on my birthday. It's even better. No, isn't that great? I mean, places come out with Fool's thing, laughs, and they know it's an April Fool's joke. Your customers are like, where is it? Like, I want to get my order. Like, where's the cannibal spice?
They were mad. I searched the website for the past 15 minutes. I can't find it. Where can I buy it? And I'm just like, guys, eat your family.
You got a good
I can supply you.
Yeah, good customer base there. Hey, so I want to kind of back up. You did a few years in the military and got out not the way you wanted to get out. We chatted a little bit before the show. It heartburn with me. I mean, I did 22 years as an infantryman, and when I got out of active, before I went in the Guard, people were all expecting, because I was an infantry and had been a little bit, that I was going to I could be a security guard, right? There was this mindset that you could, and when I say one, I mean people in the military, in the infantry, in the transition, civilians on the outside. Got out, I got into IT, worked with computers and networking and stuff. My coaches were like, "So you did computers in the Army?" I'm like, "No, I jumped out of planes and ran around and all this stuff." And they were just like, "What is that?" People just could not bring those things together. You guys were going to go fly, but then decided to take another route and get into this. Did you anywhere along the way that people have also been surprised of, one, that you're an infantryman background, or that when you were getting out, even wanting to get out and go to school, maybe go be a pilot? Is there any kind of shock? Why would you go do that? You can't go do that. There's this stereotype image you should or should not do.
I got negative feedback from a lot of the ideas. Even just from my senior instincts towards the end of my time, or, "Oh, you don't need to go do that. You can't do that. That's not a good career." The guys that transitioned, we would go to job fair there in D.C., and every single of those, like, the only thing we knew in that job was to talk to security guards. And that was still a pretty big thing back in 2018. So I bounced back off of those guys, and one of the people who brought to light, there was a lady at the Army Corps of Engineers that was like, "Hey, you're in Bravo, right? Realize that you're qualified for, like, pretty much anything. You can do it." Yeah. Okay. I had a good conversation with her, and that was eye-opening. So that's what really kind of let us down. Hey, like, let's get serious about doing this flying thing. I already had another business while I was in. It was a business, so I was able to do that. And it was kind of one of those things like, hey, I want to start a career. So I knew at that point right there that it's going to be a turnkey. Here's a brand new start, and you're starting from the bottom again. I pretty well going into it. Just like how whenever I showed up day one of basic training, like, bottom.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to, like anything, you're not out on top. You got to reprove yourself all over. So that was, that's, and you know what? You got the best characteristics of a leader. I tell people this all the time in the civilian and military sector. One of the top characteristics of a leader is humility and being humble. And you got to be able to walk out and say, this is, you may have been the rock star in your unit. You may have been the rock star in your unit, went to a new unit. You got to reprove yourself all over. That's in the military, much less when you get out. And people have preconceived notions of you or what you did or whatever, whether you're getting out going to college or getting out going into the workforce. They know just whatever they thought they heard, seen, or maybe their own families or something. So that's awesome. You're an inspiration. I noticed your employees, if not all, are veterans. It looks like you have a number of veterans. Do you purposely look for that? Or are they just people you've known in your career and you've over with you and said, hey, I got this cool business venture? How have you found these folks?
Mainly through social media, actually. Annie was through social media. We started talking and then doing some work together, and then James had actually reached out. I don't know if you're familiar with Humor on Instagram. So that's actually James. He's the owner of that Instagram page. He had reached out. Was like, we're gonna do up in North Texas together on day. Like, if I reach out to you and give you the details, sure, whatever. And it was beginning of 2017. I'd given him my phone every pretty intoxicated that night when I was with some friends, and I was standing out at the bar, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, cool. Sounds like a lot. Okay, I'll talk to you later," and hung up the phone. I was just like, "Yeah, I don't know who any of these people are. I don't want to go hang out with them." And then ended up talking again at a time, and becoming best friends, and bringing him on board, and then we're able to grill your ass off, but uniform humor at the same time, whether it be media or business. So we've been side by side, and then Jeremy along on board business. Really good friends, and his friend was Prince for us. Came in one day and asked us, "Hey, I got a guy that's going through rough times. He transitioned after 21 years. Can he just come in, sweep the floors, and pack?" Yeah, bring him in. Bring him in tomorrow.
Right.
And he filled the perfect role. Now he's another one of our customer service guys in the wholesale side of the business. So it's and Lord help it, he was an infantry, but at one point of his time, he was a recruiter, and all the stuff that he learned as a recruiter has transferred over to how he wholesale customers. So
definitely a transitionable skill. You're selling. It's customer service. It's interpersonal skills, those kind of things. What's so interesting, what I like to see is, like our buddies over at Black Rock Coffee Company, you're not just out to be another military T-shirt company, because there's a few of those, and there's a few through the years, and there's some that have done better than others. And there's a lot of competition in that space. There wasn't anyone in the coffee space, and look how great they've done. And I don't know how many in yours, but I haven't heard of many others. So it's good to see. It's kind of like being a military T-shirt company is almost like a stereotype. So jumping out into some other new product, military humor spin on it, but still making a great product or whatever it may be. All that is, to me, another avenue for people to take, right? Besides, I got to go this route, whatever. I've got an idea. They it, they come up with it. They do some research, market research, as you found. They're going to fumble a couple times, but as you said, we all know failure teaches us more than successes, right? It always does. When we think about a success, I got to keep doing it. We have we go, I got to make sure I never do that again. Right, or do it a different way, but that is just that's top notch. Rob, our unpaid producer, noted that Amazon's selling the infant rub. Have you seen or had any other political correctness blowback from some of the devices by their?
Actually, just recently, the infidel Amazon just beneath a little bit different name. Search for infidel pork rub, you're probably not going to find it. Found some workarounds on that. I had fun. One of my biggest ones was I was trying to work with a chain of hardware store to get in, and the owner of that was actually he didn't agree it because of the name infidel. Not the word, but that was, yeah, definitely. What? No jobs. I understand everybody's own ways in business, but
no, but that is it's a touchy subject, and people are going to react to it differently. Like I can see and I can appreciate how someone would react differently. That's not my way, but
right.
I respect that. You feel like you're going to alienate people, and if you haven't been on the receiving end of hatred, it's easy to be pass judgment on it. It's been on the receiving end of the hatred, or like, dude, like I can call you infidel. Like I'm making fun of myself. I can do that because they kill me because I was the infidel.
Right.
All good. Like I can appreciate their position.
Let me ask. I had another one came up here. Have you thought about, because you mentioned the Air Force, have you thought about, I'm sure number of names and stuff in the queue for other products. But maybe doing ones kind of military on the branches, maybe like Zumi sauce, right? Or maybe a new seafood season, Navy SEAL, something, a little seal on it with a bouncing a ball on his nose, SEAL spice or something, just kind of taking a shot, including the Army, right? Maybe one for something about, crayon flavors or something, just fun with that and seeing where that goes.
A couple things on that. For the Navy SEAL, shout out to Sean Matson. Sent me a text message a few minutes ago. Actually did. I've sent a little concept funny just about doing a SEAL spice. Talked about Black Rifle Coffee a few minutes ago. Be a sponsor of the Drinking podcast. Now, this is the original stuff that was going to be April Fool's. Did a fake dolphin season whenever they were going dolphin rants on.
That's right.
So I mean, we've done a dolphin season. It wasn't a real product, but in other failures, since we're talking about failures, one of the ones that I so and me and Donnie O'Malley TV actually sat down in Austin a couple about it, talked about it, really went back a good crafting the ideas, but I could never get the recipe perfected. Is we actually had a dessert birthday cake seasoning with multicolors in it, and it was going to be seasoning for the Marine. We can never get the pricing for the product. That was a product.
At least you've thought about wood, and I'm sure, like I said, you've gotten. It's probably a list of just finding the right product to put them with and that kind of thing. Besides airsoft.com, where else can people? We mentioned Amazon. They find what other retailers? Where can they find you? Either brick and mortar or other websites that you're teaming with, anything like that.
So we're on Walmart. Obviously, that's where it's going to support us the most. As well, airsoft.com, you can click on our store locator. We have about 150 retail locations across the globe now. We have a couple international stores that carry our products. So you can go onto that store locator, type in your zip code, and then set your mileage. Pull up everyone around you. Trying to put this due to COVID, major setback because a lot of order stores aren't able to be open to currently right now. So we're really focused on the site, and then always pushing forward. We have a couple new products in the. I can't say product or what they are or a date that they will be out. We will be coming out with multiple new products, and they will have some of the names kind of hinting towards.
Okay, I mean, I see a future for popcorn seasonings and all kind of other stuff where you would put seasonings.
Our kids are really very good on popcorn. It's a based all-purpose seasoning, and the purpose behind that is your typical purpose seasoning is like a salt, pepper, garlic, some sugar, and there, and that's just a generic one. But off is not only, but we're Texas made, and I have the root of Texas, and since we're North, I wanted to give it a little bit of a kick, joy. Chili based, we really played with that and launched that right after we did smoke salts, and that out perfect.
Awesome. Well, hey, so much. We really appreciate you coming on, Jason. Thanks for. I think everyone loved hearing your stories. The funny stuff, some of the behind the scenes. Anything we didn't ask about, or anything you want to put out to our viewers and listeners to make sure they hear that we didn't cover?
One of the things for everyone right now, from supporting your small businesses. Not everyone has been able to be beneficial during this time of quarantine. I know everyone's sick and tired of quarantine. It looks like we're on the outbound, but I don't have no idea what's going on in the world now. Any way that you can, non-veteran reach out to your local business, restaurant, go to.
Oh. Oh, did I lose audio? Why did I lose audio?
And we got good whiskey. Know that the anyone that's been to this can attest that good stuff. But no, like so we need to hang out more. We're excited for all the success that you had and then are having. Like people think these things just happen. Third part of the discussion tonight was the you said like you sold two in a very long time, and then we end with Walmart.com, Amazon.com, 160 locations globally. Like that's perseverance, that's determination, that's passion, and I love it. Handing out. If you're not your own person, you're ambassador, like you're doing it wrong, and I love it, man. So here in Austin, well, not in Austin. So let me rephrase it. In Austin tonight, like the bars are opening up at midnight on 6th Street. Starting to get after it. Here in Georgetown, Mesquite Creek House is packed all day long with the approach. I say packed, I mean like they were at the number really allowed to have. It's good. The backside, and it is. It's get out and support those businesses that make things better. Troy,
what's that? I think we. Yeah, I don't know. I had some kind of stuff. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, trying to fix some audio. We went a little bush league here after doing so well, but okay. Well, hey, got nothing else. I miss Jason. Thank you so much, buddy, for coming on, and those final words. Definitely supporting local small businesses is key. Thank you for giving us some Thursday night, and stay in touch, buddy.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good night.
All right, you too. Have a good one. Okay, everybody. There you go. Murph, you bring Toby back in here. There we go. Man, I don't know what's going. I don't know what happened there, Toby. I had to switch speakers, all kind of crazy stuff.
It sounded. Speakers got muted on. I don't know if he clicked on that or it did, but no big deal. Great show. It's I love entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs more than anything. They inspire me. Everyone thinks that because you're infantry that you got two choices, like you said, like cop. But when any veteran proves like we are able to do amazing things. We have all the tools to be successful in business. So I love it. That's all I got.
Yeah. I'm trying to do a couple speaker things here. Can you see me? Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Well, let's wrap it then.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we got a lot of stuff to rant about, but obviously you're watching enough of that on the news, quite honestly. There's nothing new or breaking. We thank you guys for joining us on this Thursday. This Monday is a key day. We just ask all of our listeners and don't forget what the day is about. It is, we know that we could have a whole show about the right thing to say or not say, but the reality, and my opinion is of late, the last years has been of this. There's no problem saying Happy Memorial Day. There's no problem in saying Honorable Memorial Day. The reality is, for those served and those who have lost family or friends. Every day is Memorial Day. We don't need a day to remember. It's not for us. It's for those that haven't had that personal connection. And I know I could say this I feel very comfortable saying this for me, and probably would too, and even but or anyone else, is that if I didn't make it, if I lost giving my service to this country, I would not want memorize or memorable me or whatever by being all sad, sitting and being mopey. I'd want you to be out grilling with some grill your ass off spices, cracking open a cold one, and enjoying with your family. I know I would want people to celebrate and enjoy the that I gave life for if I had ever had done that, or gave an eye for, whatever it is. So, enjoy this Memorial Day. Hopefully, whether you are, we're at up here in the studio finally. It's going to be 80 here, Toby. We haven't seen 80 in months, like 6 or 7. You guys were at 90 something today, like 97, I think, down there. But enjoy it. Make some good times. Make some memories, right? Because that's what it's all about. And enjoy being American, having freedoms, and hopefully where you live is you're getting more and more freedoms every day, and you're getting back the civil liberties and the fathers gave us. So with that, I don't have much else to. I don't know if you do.
No, but that's it.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the audio going on, and everyone have a great night. Well, that wraps up another episode of the show, and we had as much fun as we did for you. To like the page and follow us on Twitter. You can find all these links at nunn.com. We will talk to you this Thursday at 8 p.m. 7 p.m. Central. So we'd like to sponsor Commodity Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. Thank you again, and have a good night.